How's it going?
Hi.
My name's Arabela. This is Billy Green of Wit and Vinegar. We're so excited to be doing this live stream for the next 2 days. We're going to be doing some photo retouching and composition food photography. So yeah, hi guys. Please let us know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see who we've got in the chat. Hi Eric. Hi Jordan. We'll get some people to come in and watch. Hi Andreas. Thank you guys for stopping in. Yep, we're in rainy San Francisco right now. So Billy Green's actually from Fresno. But yeah, we are so excited to be doing these live streams. So yeah, if we can take a look at the schedule, we've got a packed day today. So yeah, we just went over the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Anna. And today's challenge was to add dimension to any photograph. So that'll be creating a reflective backdrop using clipped adjustment layers and masks. And then we've got Billy Green until about 11:30. Then we've got another XD Daily Creative Challenge with Andrea. Yeah, and then we've also got Amy Chen at 12, and at 2 we've got Andrew with an Adobe Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. So lots going on. It'll be really fun, and something that's really exciting today that's new. You picked a good day to watch Adobe live stream. So we've got a trivia challenge today. So instead of our normal chat and win, you'll get a chance to see that, and the winners will get stickers from Sticker Mule. So yeah, I'm here with Billy. He is a photographer and a recipe developer, and he has his food blog, which is Wit and Vinegar. And I'll let you talk a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am a, like she said, photographer and recipe developer. I shoot everything from product to food, but I do primarily focus a little bit more on the food world. I've had a blog for a really long time, but lately it's just been like focusing on photography and sort of recipe development for certain clients.
Yes. Let me pull up your Instagram right now to show you too. It's so beautiful. It's like such fun, punchy colors and really fun like food and recipes and just all around really fun stuff. So love it.
Yeah, and I always try to focus too on colors and patterns and textures, so it's not just like, it sort of creates like its own little, I don't know, like environment or world that the food like gets to kind of like live in. Yeah.
I love all of your scenes and all the colors that you use.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, so much fun.
Yeah,
so we're really excited. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to be working on over the next 2 days?
Yeah, so a big thing that I do is sort of digital composition. So I will take like 40 images and turn it into one thing. So like, and I try to turn them into usually like wallpapers for your phone or your computer or whatever. And today we're gonna work a little bit with the digital composition, and then we're going to turn it into a GIF. So we have a bunch of photos that we're gonna turn into one photo, and that's gonna be like a really fun sort of like a little GIF.
Yeah, a little animation.
And you can really do it. And it's just, we're basically just focusing on the steps of composition and then how to turn that into a GIF.
So fun.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, like you'll see sort of my raw images. Like it's not, we're not in a giant studio. Like it's a tabletop, like really simple in terms of setup. And it allows you to sort of build a bunch of different little things and make one big fun thing.
Jordan said this stream is going to make a lot of people hungry, I'm sure. Yes, Jack, those colors. Yeah, I love the way Billy uses colors. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And it just makes the food look so fun and appetizing and great.
Sometimes the food needs help.
Yeah.
Food can look good, but you know.
Yeah, sometimes it needs a little push.
Yeah.
Thanks for plugging in Billy Green's Instagram. It's instagram.com/wit and vinegar, at wit and vinegar. So make sure to go check out and give him a follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can jump right in onto your process. And
okay.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the base of what we're working on today. This is a bunch of different photos. So I'm gonna show you guys sort of how I pull everything in from Lightroom. That's usually where I do like a base edit on my photos, and then I pull everything into Photoshop, and then that's where I sort of build everything.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Awesome. I love that you are doing like a holiday themed.
Yeah, I figured, it's almost Christmas. We should have some fun.
Yeah.
So we got some hot cocoa.
Awesome. Eric, he's like followed. Yay.
Thank you.
Cool. So why start? Oh, you said you start in Lightroom, right?
Yes. Okay. And it's mainly because like I either capture and I just do like tethered capture into Lightroom.
Into Lightroom.
Yeah. Great. Sometimes I do that because you just, especially with food, you don't always, it looks very different on camera than it does on the table. Like some stuff, like a soup will photograph completely different no matter what than how it looks on the table.
That's so
and
true.
So you kind of really need to pull it in to see the lighting and everything else. And a lot of this stuff, I use strobes primarily. So I can usually I can use Lightroom to pull in a couple photos, get what I need, and that way I don't have to worry about being tethered if I don't have to be tethered.
Yes.
Because sometimes that is a little bit of a hassle. But lately, the past couple years, I have been team tripod, team tether.
Yes.
Because it does make everything actually a lot easier in the long run.
Yeah, it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Esteban says hi.
Hi.
Hi, Esteban. Aw, cute. Well, yeah, we will get started with your thing.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is kind of I did this whole thing last night.
That's amazing. I'm so this is like new work that just was created. Exclusive for Adobe Live.
I did it all last night to sort of see how it all comes together. I shot this all yesterday. Composed it last night because I wanted to make sure it actually worked before we tried to just run into, that's nuts. I don't like doing that, especially live. So this is, like I said, a bunch of different photos. We'll go into Lightroom real quick and I'll kind of just show you.
Cute.
So this is kind of like my setup. It's a colored board. Everything gets shot on there and everything, like I said, it's composed. So it's like, I have some photos where it'll be like, one of the wallpapers I did was like tomatoes, like heirloom tomatoes, and it was like 40 tomatoes, like 40 images that I took to compose like one thing. The reason I actually like doing that, I like the effect and I like the way it looks, but then also with food, it's great because I don't then have to go out and buy 40 tomatoes.
Right.
So like I went and I bought like 10.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is
cut them in different ways.
Like different angles, see what works, what doesn't work. I mean, one tomato I can get like sometimes like 5 shots out of. And so it really like helps it stretch. I'm not wasting as much food.
That's so
And it lets me have fun with it too.
Yeah, and it makes it like composing things a little bit easier because then you can duplicate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And and you're not like, I don't know, you're not trying to like do everything live, then it's like, oh no, like this pear went brown, and it's like, what do I do? So
that's so true.
Everything like is very time sensitive with food.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I like doing stuff like this. So this is basically.
Oh my gosh, so many shots.
So many shots. So I guess I'll run through the logistics of what I was thinking when I had this idea. So the original idea I was going to do wasn't going to be a GIF. It was going to be digital composition, but it was going to be a giant mug of hot cocoa with like the trees. I just wanted to have this effect of like the cocoa being super big and everything else being small. So that was kind of like artistically what I was going for. And I went to the store. I went to like a few different places to find these like Christmas Village characters. Oh, and this is like legit like the only one that I could find that would work. So plan B, you can't find more than one. We're just gonna use the one and animate it.
Great.
So I wanted to not fly blindly into taking the sleigh and making it go in a circle. Like I didn't want to just like wing that because especially from an angle, like the way when the camera's sort of angled like this, it looks completely different on the camera than if you were like standing there. Like does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you look at something and you're like, this is perfect. And you'll go take a photo and it's not
it doesn't
like
look the
at
way.
all.
Yeah.
So I used a placeholder for what I wanted to be roughly the size of the mug. So I knew that I wanted this sleigh, this little figure thing to be smaller, about the same sort of thing as if that plate, that was the size of the mug. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I took the plate and I put it on the thing, and I basically just like went through and like tried to figure out placement of the figure around the plate.
Yes.
And basically like
I had to do a couple different.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, she's about to veer right off this frame.
Yeah.
So I ended up backing up a little bit.
Okay.
And she still almost takes a spill off the edge of the frame, but it's okay because Photoshop allows us to just soften the edges. Nobody can tell. So basically, I didn't count it. I just was like, I want this to kind of look as smooth as possible. So I was like, we're just gonna go little by little by little and take a photo. And it ended up being 29 frames.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought maybe that, you know, the sleigh is gonna go behind the cup, the mug of cocoa. So I was like, okay, so maybe it won't be the full 29. Turns out she only disappears for a frame, and then so it's still it's like 28,
it's a lot.
like 27, I think, is what I ended up using.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
So I started out and I went in a circle, and it's just little by little by little.
That's amazing.
By little.
I love that.
So she makes a trip around plate. That's all these like little things, and then I capture that. I moved from the plate to like all the other components. So I was like, okay, I want trees. So I need to take some photos of trees, see how they photograph, see if I vibe with them. I had these like little trees where I was like, you know, I need to know what size I want to do. The shape on these bigger trees was actually a little bit different than these smaller trees. So I ended up just using the smaller tree. And just to be safe, I wasn't really sure like what angle would work best for the photo. So it's the same thing. Like I always overshoot to like
just in case.
Because it's easier to get extra than to go back.
Hi Wakas, hi Akinor, hi OC.
Hi.
Thanks for joining in. We're here with Billy Green of Wit and Vinegar. He is showing us a little bit of his process, and we're making a cute little GIF of like somebody just, you know, slaying around.
They're slaying. And so I took the baby tree, and I just basically like rotated it like, I don't know, a quarter of a turn.
Yeah.
So I had all those options, and then I went through and I said, okay, let's figure out how the mug's gonna look. So we got the mug. Tried to figure out sort of, it is different. It is actually really weird when you photograph glasses because you always forget that there's gonna be stuff in them, which is like, it sounds like common sense, but you know what? When you're doing a bunch of other stuff, it's like you sometimes just forget, okay? So this is gonna eventually be a whole shadow, this whole space here. And so I kind of focused on the handle and where I wanted like the handle placed. I did that, added the hot cocoa to the mug, whipped cream, played around. You can see right here is the thing right in my frame. I wasn't paying attention. And then sort of ended up settling on this guy.
Nice.
So after I do that, I want it to be very consistent in terms of color and exposure, all that stuff. So I go through and I just adjust, and then I sync the photos together so that they all kind
of the edits can translate over to all the other photos.
It just kind of transfers from that one on down the line. So I actually sort of just do this thing that's like, I don't know, probably not the absolute right thing to do. It's sort of like my version of like a preset. So I have like a few different photos with different light setups, and I sort of go and I just copy and paste those settings onto the new photo, depending on like what I'm doing in a way. That's easier for me.
Helps you save some time and
it's easier for me to do that versus like making a preset. You know, like because it's like hard to like name a preset based off the lights. Like I can easily scroll through. So I went through, I found it, I pasted it, and like basically what I do is I just play with the exposure a little bit. I always boost the contrast, and I almost always take down the highlights when you shoot with strobes, and they always are gonna blow stuff out. And also it doesn't really blow stuff out, but like these like backgrounds that I have are all painted because I work with food so much, I don't want to waste paper. So they're all painted. No matter what you paint them with, whether it's matte or glossy, it's always gonna be reflective. So I always bring down the highlights to help boost the color a little bit.
Nice.
I play a little bit with the blacks. I like to bring those down quite a bit to kind of just help with the contrast. Since I work so much with color, I usually boost vibrance.
Always bumping up the color.
Good amount of vibrance, a little bit of saturation, and then that's kind of it. I do actually have other adjustment layers that I do reapply in Photoshop, and I don't know why. There's something about the Photoshop adjustments, even though they are sort of the same tools, that just for me work differently. And I just like using kind of that final, it's like, this is the foundation, and that's like, you know, the lipstick, okay?
Yeah. Love it. That's
so
a good analogy.
we're done, do all that, we export, and then we're going to put them into Photoshop. So I'll show you how to do that. I export the trees and the coffee mug or the cocoa mug separately, and then I export the sleigh, the thing that's being animated separately.
Yeah.
And that's so that I can open them and place them together, and I know what is what, because when everything is masked out, it all looks the same down there.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no preview of anything. And this also, it's like, oh, okay, so it's the sleigh, you know.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier. So
smart.
this
then
is,
you name it, and then it's easier to find.
yeah, yeah. And then it's like, okay, so like this one, it's, you know, sled versus base. So I have the tree and the cocoa are the base, and then the sleigh is, or sled is on here too. But everything is separate, and we'll go through and like actually see like, you know, this is its own
So
thing.
fun. Oh my gosh.
This is its own thing. And we'll sort of just like play around and sort of see.
Love it.
There's that, and then this is actually the final too. So we will put this together. But this is eventually what it'll look like, is this little guy's going around.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's very fun. Like I said, there is like 29 layers to edit on him. So I'm not going to probably have time to do all of them. That's why I have this set up so that we can cut to this if we need to.
Yes, perfect.
But I can
Got
show
someone
how
saying
to start.
hi from the Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
My gosh. Cheers from
International.
Uruguay. Very international.
Wow.
Someone from Malaysia. Amazing.
Wow.
Thanks for joining in, guys.
you.
We're here with Billy Green. He's showing his process. And just to remind you guys, we're 12 minutes away from the Flash trivia. So make sure to stick around because it's something new and exciting that we're doing at Adobe Live. So stick around. Cool.
So to get all of the stuff in a layers or whatever, I just do load files into Stack. We're gonna browse. It's going to pull up hot chocolate GIF.
Perfect.
And then
We've
have
got a
all
question
of
from
these.
Claudia.
Okay.
She says, what kind of strobe light do you use to get those harsh shadows?
So I don't think there's like a necessary like brand, because I've used several and I get them. You just want to make sure that you can use a reflector if you are having issues. And then also, the further the light is away from your subject, the harder the shadow is going to be. So if you want a harder shadow, then just try pulling the light either higher up or further out. And that's going to kind of give you those harder shadows. And then also...
And longer shadows too, huh?
And longer ones, yeah. Longer if you're going out, down, not so much. But if you don't have a tall ceiling, then you have to pull out further. And then also I always have some sort of fill light as well. And I just make sure that's not super high, or that will make your shadows a little lighter as well. Yeah.
Nice.
So we have the GIF here. Oh wait, no, this is, sorry. Hot chocolate test. Okay, so we have, this is the base. We'll pull this in first. Actually, no, we can do all these together, right?
Awesome. Hi, Tu. Hello from Vietnam. Trivia hype. Thanks, Voodooval. Yep. Get excited, you guys.
Okay.
All right.
And now we just
Now we
let
just
it
wait.
load, 'cause we got like 40
So
layers.
many layers.
Yeah. It's a
my
lot,
gosh.
but I like doing that because like you have a little more control.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like a little bit more smoother too. I feel like sometimes when it's
Yeah.
like a little like less.
Because sometimes when you're relying strictly on a tripod, it can just, you never know.
Yeah.
The wind could blow and it would mess something up.
Yeah.
You know, like, so when I can do these, it is a little more work, but yeah, it is much more smooth to do this. So I'm gonna focus first on this base. I'm gonna get sort of like my color down. I'm gonna do that first, and then we'll focus on the sled, editing that to circle
Got it.
around.
Okay.
So this is the hot cocoa we're using. It's already at the top. That's perfect. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm going to turn the rest of these off. And I'm gonna bring this one down so I have...
So it's the base.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I'm going to actually create a new layer. We're gonna bring that guy down as the very base. And this one, we're gonna make the color, this blue color right here. So it's great because like you have all this extra space, right? You have this white, you have this down here, but like we don't wanna deal with that. So I just go ahead and do edit, fill, color, and I just use the color drop tool to grab this color right here. And we're gonna fill. It's not gonna do anything right now because we still have this, but if you take this guy away, now you have the blue. And sometimes I will, if I have enough space in this area, like enough board, I will actually just keep the board and put like an opacity on the thing so that it has like texture to it.
Yeah.
Depends what I'm doing or what I'm trying to go for. So then I just like to take the lasso tool and just do like a really quick dirty crop of this. We're gonna do inverse on the select because right now it's going to take that away instead of around it, which is what we want. So then we'll delete, and now it looks like we have a mug here.
Okay.
Obviously still very sloppy, so we're just gonna take this guy, gonna go in here. This one's a little tricky because it's glass. Glasses are always more difficult to do.
It always picks up the color in the glass.
This isn't too bad. I've had some that are really bad, and that's almost why I almost don't ever do glasses, or I do like one.
Yeah.
I'm not.
The shadows are really fun when it's like clear, but oh my god, it's so it's so hard.
It's like when it's clear, and then sometimes too, it's like great with like really colorful drinks that are still have like some transparency to them, and then you get like a nice color cast sometimes, depending on how hard the light is. So I'm just gonna bring the tolerance up a little bit. There we go, that's so much better. And then these parts right here, I've done it before where I've sort of like tried to play with this. And sometimes we cross our fingers and then we click and then we go from there.
Sometimes we go back.
Which is actually one of my favorite things about the Photoshop update that happened, was like 2 months ago? It wasn't that long ago, where you can do the undo and it just goes, keeps going.
Keeps going.
Oh my God, that's like my favorite thing.
Someone asked, Gaston, is Photoshop better than, better for animating GIFs?
I like using it because we're already editing the photos in there.
Yeah.
I'm also more comfortable with it. So I can't say whether or not, I know you can do GIFs in Premiere.
Ah, okay.
I think some people do that. I think it just really depends though, what you feel comfortable doing, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So this right here, we managed to get some of the mug, not all of it, that's okay. We're gonna put the mask up here to sort of fill in some stuff. So
we've got someone from Switzerland. Hello. Hi, Eve. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, Voodoo Val says, might be better depending on the person. Personally, I always use Photoshop for GIFs.
Yeah, I think it's just like a comfort thing. I know, like, I think that happens a lot with Adobe programs.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's people who do like everything in like Illustrator and they never touch InDesign, and it's just like a personal preference, you know?
Totally.
Okay, so I think the handle is like, okay. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because there is an edge that's blue on the thing, and then we also have the blue background. So that's kind of, I hardly ever play with the colors like I won't change this background to like yellow, right?
Yeah.
Because the shadow already inherently has that.
Like the blue, yeah.
And then I'm just gonna go through, and the great thing about this mask is that it shows us like all of the other little areas too. So we can see all around all these little bits and pieces. And I'm just gonna go, that's one of the things about working with food is that my boards are always dirty. I can clean them and like something will just magically be there. But you know what, we have Photoshop and we can just take care of that.
And what do you use? Do you usually use like wood? Like
wood
so
and
then
like,
just paint it?
Yeah, it'll be like, it's like I don't know what is the technical term.
plywood?
It's like this like dark brown wood. That's like it's thin. It's like 1/8 of an inch thick, and it's usually smooth on both sides. I get it like at Lowe's, and then I have them cut
nice.
it down into sizes like 2
Okay.
by 2, and then I go by the paint and I paint it on.
Yeah, amazing.
Because it's just like I tried using
Yeah.
paper, and it's so the paper's expensive, and when you have like a vase or something you're shooting, that's great. But like when you're food, like it's condensation. It's like
things, it gets wet or whatever.
Yeah.
Things, start smearing, and you just never know. Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to the standard mode. We're gonna get out of the quick edit mode. I missed this thing right here. I'll just use my eraser to get rid of that. And then the one thing I do, I created an action for it because when you're doing like 40 of these at once,
Yes.
you want an action. You want it to make it easier. So
true.
I have an action that I made for feathering the edges because
to make it a little bit smoother.
it seems to be super clunky when it's like on a textured surface and you're trying to get it. It's like knobby. It's like not pretty, and I didn't do that for the longest time, which is a shame because I have some stuff that looks really good until you zoom in and go,
And you're like,
no. Unfinished edges.
I know, there's always like, and it's cool that you made a Photoshop action for it too.
Well, I was doing it so much. Yeah, and then finally I'm like, I literally do the same thing every time. No matter what, I feather, and it's like just the slightest bit just to smooth it out. It's like, kind of like when you're sewing and it's like a hem versus like
and
a
what
raw
is it
edge.
that the action includes? Like what are the
It's literally just,
the select and mask?
it's the, whatever the feather tool is. Where is it?
I wonder if it's the select and mask one.
Quite possibly. I think I created it in an old version of.
Love it.
There.
That's brilliant. Just
But yeah.
make your life easier.
Yeah, because it's just, it really helps. So then we've already done that. We've got that, so we can just clear. So now we have all of this, which is great. The one thing about feathering though, and this is like something that I did not realize until I could not figure out why all these lines were on my things.
Yeah.
When you feather, it actually sort of creates like this weird edge
Oh, okay.
around the thing. So you can't really see it here. If I get a new layer, I'll show you because it's kind of, I think, helpful to see.
Ooh, thank you, Tim. He says it's in select, modify, and feather.
Thank you, Tim.
He's the best. He always knows everything.
I just usually go to help and then I type feather into the search bar and we find it that way.
That's great.
So we're just gonna edit and we'll do fill and then we'll do black on this one so that just like I can show you real quick.
Got it, okay.
Oops, we're still selected. I'm not great with my like shortcuts. I think that's one thing that I need to like work on. Okay, so we took that, right?
Got it, okay.
So see how there's like this weird
Yes.
where we had like the lasso tool?
Yes.
And we will just go back onto here and then we'll just kind of erase. It's almost always helpful to have this because sometimes you forget.
Yeah.
And then you can take away that colored layer when you're completely done and you can see like, oh no, I forgot this one frame. And like,
Yeah.
let's get rid of this. Boop, 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 boop.
That's good to just like be able to see that.
Yeah, so I almost always have like a black or a darker color on the very bottom. And then we'll go back here. And then, ta-da.
That's amazing.
And this is
Love
sort
it.
of like
and it
our
looks like an
base.
endless like
Yeah, and it looks like we
blue
shot it there. And
table
Yeah.
or whatever. Awesome. Abdullah says this is clean.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Mission accomplished.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that looks so appetizing. I just had hot cocoa the other day, so yum.
It's surprisingly tricky to shoot.
Really? Oh, because everything melts, right?
Everything kind of melts, but then it's like also like whipped cream is very top heavy.
Yeah.
So you kind of like put the whipped cream and then it just goes, just kidding, floop, and it just like flips over and then it's like, I'm sure that if you have like a studio space and you're like shooting it, you probably have something, it's called false bottoming, when you put something in a bowl or a glass to hold up props.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you don't have enough stuff in a bowl.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we are having our flash trivia, so we will be right back.
Here we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Adobe Live Flash Trivia. I'm Paco.
And I'm Gus.
We're gonna do something differently today. So instead of our traditional chat and win, we're gonna do a quick Flash Trivia where we answer 2 questions. And if you guys get it right, you'll have a chance to win 10 stickers. No,
100
free stickers from Sticker Mule.
So yeah, that's all you have to do is log in on Behance. If you're watching right now, just log in on chat, say hi to us, and get ready to answer these 2 questions. Are you ready to ask them?
All right,
the
let's
questions?
take it away. Let's do the first question.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready. You want me
All
to
right.
do it or you want to do it?
You start the first
I'll
one.
do it.
All right, here we go.
All right, the first question is, how many challenges are in the XD and Photoshop daily creative challenges?
Now, this is kind of a trick question.
A little bit.
Because although we have X amount of events,
10.
there's not 10.
It's not 10. Sorry, I blew our cover. It's not 10.
Okay,
It's
so
not 11.
there's going to be a little
It's
bit of a
not
delay,
7.
so we'll wait for you guys to answer real quick,
Yeah.
but we'll see if we, I already see
Oh.
the answer already.
Looks like someone's got the right answer in
Okay,
chat. All
they're
right, now they're
coming
going to
in.
go crazy
They got
with
it.
them.
Okay, yep. All right,
All
you
right.
guys are nailing it.
People know the right answer, so get in there and say it. All you have to do is get one of the 2 questions right.
Correct.
Rachel's got it.
Rachel's
Katie's
got it.
got it.
Yeah.
Deb's got it. Franco's got it.
Everybody's got it.
Everyone's going for the stickers. All right, you
So
ready
that
for the
is-
second question?
Yes, that is the right answer. It's not 10, it's 9. All right, so one more question for this quick Flash Trivia Challenge. You ready for it?
Ready.
All right, let's take it away. Last question. Okay, so who is on the artwork of the Photoshop 2020 startup screen?
Who could it be?
I'll give you a hint. You ready for this?
Ready.
They were actually on Adobe Live earlier this year.
Oh, do you know when?
Well, I
You
don't know.
should, dude.
I should know it, but I don't.
This guest was on Adobe Live, and you can say either the real name for this person, or you can say this person's username online. And there's a second hint we have, because I think we have a little time.
We
If
do have a
you
little
go
time.
into Photoshop, at the top, you go into Info, is under Properties, and you can see who has credits for the cover artwork.
Yeah, so if you start up Photoshop 2020, the latest Photoshop, and you go up top and hit About Photoshop, it'll actually tell you whose artwork it is. And I think I already see it in the chat.
Jordan's got it. Rachel's got it.
There we go.
Matthias.
Yes, it is Vanessa
Mark.
Rivera.
Eric. All right, get in there and chat. Say the right answer.
Yeah.
And very soon, we'll be picking a winner for 100 custom 3x3
3x3.
die-cut stickers from Sticker Mule.
That is mind-blowing.
Blows my mind, man.
So yes, I see the answers coming in. It is indeed Vanessa Rivera, and she also went by her Instagram pseudonym. Do you know what it's called?
Oh, I know. Do you know?
Oh, I know. I want to make sure you know.
I know.
All right, what is it then?
Life of AVAX.
Definitely Life of AVAX. All right, cool. So we have a winner. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Our winner is.
Jordan Crawford. Whoop, that
Nice
way.
job, Jordan.
Oh, Jordan, you're the man.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Good job, Jordan.
All right.
I'll send you a message in a second.
Yes, that's Adobe Live. That's his alias. Anyways, that concludes the Adobe Live Flash Trivia Challenge. Thanks everybody for participating. I love the engagement we got of this.
I have one thing to add, Paco.
Yes.
If you didn't win the stickers, all you have to do is go to stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19 and you'll get 10 stickers for $1. They're amazing stickers. We used them at Max the last 2 years and they hold up really well. So use that code if you want. You can get your own stickers.
That's true. It's a win-win. Everybody wins in this segment.
Well, yeah.
Cool. All right, well, thanks again, everybody. We're going to kick it back to Adobe Live. We'll have one more of these segments for the XD
Later
Adobe Live
today.
segment, so stay tuned.
See you later.
All right, everybody, back to Adobe Live. Oh, I muted it. Nice. You crushed it.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Hello. Well, congratulations, Jordan, for winning those stickers. Hopefully you guys like that trivia challenge. It was so fun. Love the wigs and the suit. Great job, Gus and Paco. But yeah, we'll get back into Billy Green and
Keep
his
on
editing
trucking,
and
yeah.
keep on photoshopping.
Okay, so while they were doing that, I just masked out the center part of the handle right here using the same tools because when we have the GIF, the sled does go sort of behind, and we want that illusion as if it
Yes.
is actually
Going around.
Yeah. So I did that. I'm gonna take this off so that it's back to the blue. Usually when I'm going to sort of like really Photoshop out any imperfections, I usually do it after I've masked
After
it.
everything, yeah.
Unless it's like a really tricky sort of thing. Sometimes I use like toothpicks or like random cards or something to like hold up things while I'm shooting them to have like an effect. And I'll Photoshop those out first, and then I will use the select tool to crop it all out.
Cool.
So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna edit real quick. Spot heel brush is my favorite. It's my best friend. Especially when you're doing food. So there's like a little bits here where it probably spilled over. This right here would be troublesome if it was like a giant, if this
Yeah.
was the photo, like mug.
Yeah.
But it's not, and it's fairly small, so we're not gonna worry about it.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing that I've learned over the years too, is like, it's like don't sweat the small stuff. Like literally,
Yeah.
like don't kill yourself. Like 15 seconds or 15 minutes to edit one little tiny thing.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah. So then we'll do the same thing here. Spot heel brush.
Just little
Here,
fixes.
here.
Nice.
Do this. Ooh. Did not like that. Actually, we're not gonna do that for this one. So one of the things that I noticed when I was working on it last night is that I actually wanted the shadow to not be as long. So this one's very long.
Yeah.
And on the trees, I think it's fine because it's like a thinner shadow, but for the cup, I do wanna sort of minimize it just a little bit. So we're just gonna take the eraser tool and try to get like the cleanest line that sort of mocks what we have now. And I find the easiest way to do that is just to use like a pretty large brush. A small brush is you're gonna have more issues with a straight line because you'll
Yeah.
be like, you know.
Yeah.
So then we're just going to just like clean it up just a little bit.
And get a little round shadow like that. Nice.
Take chunks out of that.
Yeah.
Just clean it up. And you're not gonna really notice it like that much actually once everything else is sort of around it. But this way we sort of just like clean it up and get that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, we're gonna call that. That's good for now. Okay, so then that's the mug. The mug's done, okay?
Great.
One part. We will skip those guys, take care of those guys last. Like I said, I wanted to do the final sort of option for me I chose was the tree, the smaller tree. So I'm going to go and I'm gonna make sure I'm actually selecting the layer.
I know that always happens when you have a ton of layers.
Yeah.
You're always on the wrong one.
And you're like, that's so
You're
weird.
like,
It's
"What?"
selecting something. It's like not even in the photo. Like what's going on?
Oh my God. Jan Eric says, great mugshot.
Ah,
Love the pun.
points for you.
Love it. Awesome. So how long does usually like each of these projects like, you know, take for you as far as editing goes?
It just depends like what it is.
Yeah.
So like the sled, like we'll start to sort of edit that one, and you'll sort of see like, oh, this is like a little more tedious
Yeah.
to do these. That's why I also try to do it just like on like a color that's
plain.
that's also sort of like the opposite of whatever I'm shooting. So like,
Got
obviously
it.
you
to
can't.
make it easier for you to select.
Yeah, you can't really get around that with a glass because it's, you know, see-through. But And also it's like complementary stuff too. So like if I'm shooting something yellow and it's on blue or whatever, like that helps a lot too. And then yeah, it's all kind of over the place for me. Something like this though, I mean this tree is fairly easy to crop everything out.
Yeah.
And I realized after a while too that I didn't have to be super specific because it's blue on blue. So
Yeah.
if there is a little bit of a feathered edge around it, it's not the end of the world, but we will have to probably go back and edit some of those in certain parts because I want to overlap. So I'm just gonna take this and then we'll go into quick mask, same thing, clean it up around here.
Claudia, yes, these, Claudia's asking, will these videos be saved somewhere and available to watch later? Yes, they will be saved. They're on behance.net/live. You can watch the replay whenever you want. It's completely available, so you'll be able to see Billy Green's live stream from today and tomorrow, whenever you
Beautiful
want.
face, anytime you want. So I feathered the edge, used the action,
Awesome.
took that away, and we're good. So we have, sorry. Like I said before, I forget to do this all the time. We're gonna deselect and take care of this.
Oh yeah, the little line, little edge.
You don't notice it until you do, and it's usually after you've already exported it
Aw.
and sent it away to someone, and then you go, wait, what's that weird
happening?
line?
Yeah. Hi, Tima. We've got some regulars,
Ooh,
Adobe Live
hello.
viewers in here.
Okay. So we have our little tree, we've
So
got
cute.
our mug, and then let's see, just for reference, I want to see where I ended up.
Placing some of them.
Yeah, and like size. I think size-wise we're good. I don't think we played with that sizing too much.
That's so cute.
So we'll do this one here. And I was going to go through and take the time and choose 4 different trees. And then I was like playing around with placement. And then I did the 5 and then I said, no, those look great.
Yeah.
Because they all kind of look the same turning them around. They're not really that different.
Yeah.
So, we make our lives easier
Yeah.
wherever we can. That's very important with our work, okay?
Yes.
You don't want to just go crazy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I know, it's always funny like realizing after the fact, like even after you shot and you're taking things into Photoshop and you're like, wait, I didn't even need that shot, or I didn't even,
As you can catch it before you edit, that's the best. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like after you edit and then you're like, oh,
man.
okay, well, just wasted all my time.
I know when you mentioned that whole thing about the tomato pattern, like we would like sometimes like also try to shoot all of the things in the one scene, and we're like, why are we doing
Yeah.
that to ourselves when we could just duplicate?
Yeah, it's so much easier. I did that once, and then it did really well on social media, and I really enjoyed doing it. And it was like all of these pairs, and
Yes.
it's like this like pear
Love
sort
that
of like
shot.
pattern thing, but it was all done. It's no Photoshop.
Yeah,
it's
I can actually show it to you. Let me
Yeah,
see.
if you want to pull it up, it's like all in real time, like real time pairs.
Yeah.
That one right there.
Oh, there we go. Ooh, yeah.
And
Can
so
we pull up
it's
my
like,
screen really quickly? I don't know if we could do that, but yep, perfect. Oh my gosh. Beautiful.
and I really enjoyed doing it. And I had fun, and then I was like, oh wait, like there has to be an easier way to do this, right? Like,
And then, yeah, magic of Photoshop.
yeah. So I'm gonna multiply this. I'm gonna get rid of these other layers. So I pulled in all the trees to see like originally
What
like,
you wanted,
oh yeah,
yeah.
like what I want. I'm gonna get rid of them just because it's chaos and we need to make our lives easier in terms of like finding things in the future. So
Yes.
and it does get tricky with these too because with the sled, it eventually has to go like between a tree sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a little, makes it easier if you can
Yeah.
tell where everything is.
Katie says, I love the colors in that shot.
Oh,
The
thank
bigger
you,
one.
Katie.
So pretty. Love it.
Okay, so now what we should have is all of the sled layers, 1 tree, which we'll multiply right now. We're just gonna do this 2, 3, 4,
And that's just dragging it to the new layer
Yeah.
button at the
Yeah, you
bottom.
can't see, it's behind the design feedback countdown thing, but it's just create a new layer, you drag it onto there, and it just replicates the one.
Perfect.
So then they're all right here. We can just go ahead and sort of place them.
Cute.
What did I do in this other one?
Oh,
I think I
love
did
it.
make them maybe a little bit smaller.
that's very cute. Hello, Lindsay. And Jan Eric says, sometimes all you need is wit and some vinegar. How did that name come up? Like, how did you, so that's the name of Billy's blog.
Yeah, that's like
Food
my food blog, which that's how it started. That was before
Yeah.
social media. So then
Yes.
social media came around. So it's like there's that play on words when you say someone's full of piss and vinegar. Can't use that for a food blog.
Yep.
So everyone always told me like when I was that age that I was like witty.
Yeah.
So we went with that, and it actually worked out really well. So
Yeah, I love it.
because I also was like kind of like, I don't want to use the word sassy, but you know, maybe
I feel like
sassy.
that name just rolls off the tongue. It's perfect.
Yeah, it like has like a nice
Yeah, flow.
yeah. So we have all of our trees here, and it looks crazy, and it's mainly because like
The shadows.
the shadows, everything else. So one of the things that I do like to do with these when I'm trying to sort of create like an environment like this is to make sure stuff does overlap. So it looks like it was all shot in the same frame, right? We want to give the illusion that we did, you know, effortlessly put 5 trees in a couple, we did it. So I'm gonna take this mug layer and I'm actually gonna bring it all the way back up above these guys.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have to sort of say, oh, like this one looks great here. This one looks good, maybe. Not rotate. So then we'll see like, okay, this one actually has to come up to the top. This one has to be like,
Okay,
up
so then you
here.
can actually just like layer them,
yeah.
move the layers instead of masking it out. Okay. Because
And-
they're already all masked out essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's
So you
amazing.
can literally just like layer them however you want
That's
to
great.
sort of like give the effect that
Yeah.
it's on like the same plane.
Yes.
And it's crazy like how weird and wild it looks like when it does that, and then when you actually like put it all together.
Okay.
You know, like it's really cool. That one can go here.
All right, you guys, we are going to have a quick 2-minute break, so we will be right back, okay? And we're back, guys. Sorry, we had little difficulties, but we are back.
So then I just did the same thing with this guy. I played around with the layering to figure it out. I think the sides of the trees are good because I want the cup to feel big. So in order for that, either the trees have to be bigger or they have to be quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
To give that effect that the mug is like a giant mug.
That's so fun.
And then that's that. I mean, that's pretty much like the base, right? So we took care of the trees, the mug, all that. And then we have the sled. This little sleigh,
Oh my gosh.
sleigh lady here.
Yes.
So it's actually really crazy. I'll show you on this one, kind of like the full effect of all of the sleds.
Whoa.
Of like,
Oh my gosh.
they're all different. That's not even all of them.
I know.
They actually do continue to go all the way around.
That's amazing.
So it's like you sort of have to like create this smooth sort of transition to make it look like, you know? take these all away again.
You really did it like super smooth too. You like
Yeah.
did little by little by little.
I've learned over the years of like creating GIFs that you kind of just have to like give yourself like the amount of space that you need for creating the GIF, because it's really easy to be like putting a hand in the frame and then taking it out, and then you have like a chunk of space that's like missing, or
Yeah.
So I'm always like the one that's like, hand, put it back in, get another shot,
Yes.
let's go, come on, we need to, because you can't redo, so
No.
like, you have to
Yeah.
when you're there get it done.
Yeah, and that's the thing about like creating GIFs too. Like everything has to well, I mean, in this like you're kind of playing it around, but
Right.
like the sled, like you literally like otherwise you'd have to start all over.
Yeah, which I did a couple times because it would be like, oh, it's
And
too
you-
close to
yeah.
the plate, or it's like you can see in Lightroom there's like a chunk of frames
Yeah.
where we were playing around. So then I'm going to take this guy right here. This is sort of a base. This is the very first one we're using. And I'm gonna match up the cocoa with the plate, because that was my original idea, was
Yes.
to make that sort of the base so that I know it'll go in a fairly,
round. Circle-ish.
it's a bubble, okay? You know, the when they wave around a little bit. So I'm just gonna select all of these, since these are already sort of placed everywhere that we want them. And we're just, oh, look at me. And
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
so we'll kind of go right here. It eventually gets cropped into a square too. I like working sort of in these oblong things so that I can do like a square or an 8x10 or
Yeah.
4x5. Like, that way I have so much room to work and kind of play around with like what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty good. So I think we can just go ahead and start working on these sled. So
Yeah.
this is this one. And then while this is going, I'm actually gonna erase, or not erase, but put these ones, they're gonna take a nap for a little bit,
Yeah.
so it's easier to focus.
Voodoo Val's asking, who are some designers who inspire you, Billy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I have any like designers specifically, but I'm always trying with food stuff. It's like the food world is kind of very condensed, and a lot of people sort of influence each other in there. So I always try to go outside the realm and like I love following fashion photographers, people who do really fun stuff with props. I like almost following people who don't work with food at all.
So that inspires.
Yeah,
your
so I can be like,
niche.
oh, like that would be really cool to do like that color combo, or
Yes. That's such a good point.
yeah, or like, oh, I like the way like this they stacked like these things. Like I could use that sort of idea and do like
Yeah.
fruits or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and kind of play around with it so that it's not just this like echo chamber of everyone in the food space. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So we're gonna do the same sort of situation that we did on everything else. We're gonna go ahead and do like a quick crop,
Okay.
inverse, delete.
Nice. So cute. I can't believe you found that. That's adorable.
I saw this first, and then I was like, ooh, they have so many good things. And then I'm like, nope,
Do you
they
end
have
up
one.
like getting these like doing your concepts like beforehand and then like going and finding the stuff?
So it's
or
like-
how does your
it's like
process work as far as
a
that goes?
mix.
Yeah.
So like there's certain things where I'm like, oh, like I want to do hot chocolate, and in my mind I specifically wanted to do like hot chocolate where it was like really big. I wanted to do it last year, and I bought the trees last year, and then it just never happened because I couldn't find any of these little figurines.
Aw.
If I had more time, I probably would have gone to like eBay
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
weird and found a bunch of them,
Yeah.
and then created like a whole sort of scene, like a big like long one. Like that would have been a lot of
that'd
fun.
be so fun.
But yeah, it's like there's certain things where like I'll see a prop and I'm like, it'll inspire the
Inspire you,
food that I
yeah.
want to use.
Oh,
and then
okay.
sometimes I'll have food, and in my mind, I like, before I even figure out the recipe, I go, oh, I want to do like this and like this type of dish and you know, whatever, and just like try to do something fun or different or yeah, it's kind of like a give and take. It's just like goes back and forth.
That's awesome.
This
Oh
is-
yeah, so I see what you were saying.
Yeah, this is where it gets a little tricky. I used a plate, which Looking back, I probably should have used like a round piece of paper. I just didn't want to go and find like a blue in my closet that matched, that I could cut out and put here. Like it was, this plate was sitting there.
That's awesome though. It's so cute. I love it.
Yeah, it ended up being like a really cute like little setup for this.
Yeah. And as far as like colors, do you ever like end up changing the colors of some things, or you're just like, I'll keep it?
It usually sticks to what I shoot it on. Yeah, because especially with food, it's so reflective.
Right.
Or when you use a glass, it's super reflective, or the plates are always reflective.
Yeah,
and
what are the
so,
challenges as far as food photography goes and how that translates into editing?
I just work around as much so I don't have to do as much editing. Like, that's the thing. You realize like, you're like, well, I could just shoot it and then Photoshop something out, but then it's actually, I think, better to just take the 15, 20 minutes to set up the lights properly so that you don't have a glare, you don't have certain things. And then there's certain things where like I'll shoot it and there's too much of a reflection or a glare on a glass, and I'll go, okay, well, we just can't use that glass on the surface, or you know, we'll just switch it out, like do that. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm gonna switch over to this guy again.
Nice.
Kind of do a little bit of a faster.
Quick mask.
Yeah.
John Eric says the Imperial marching ants.
Always, always, always.
For the longest time, I didn't know that that was what it was kind of called, or that like, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
I think that's like when I took like my first graphic design class. They were like, that was like the joke of it, and then I was like, oh, yeah.
Love it. Hi, Arbor Studio. How's it going? If you're just joining now, we are here with Billy Green of Wit and Vinegar, showing us a fun little holiday themed GIF that's so cute. It's like big hot cocoa, hot chocolate, and little people sleighing around. So cute.
I think that's pretty good. Okay, so that's 1 of 27.
Oh my gosh.
That's why it's
a process.
Yeah.
It's a process, y'all.
So we're gonna do the feathered edge just like before, and then we'll go ahead and get rid of it.
Cool. Just to remind you guys, we have about 30 minutes until we do our design feedback. So we'll be taking a look at your the challenges, and if you want to watch a replay, make sure to do that. For today, it was to add dimension to any photograph, and so yeah, creating a reflective backdrop using clipped adjustment layers and masks. So we'll head over to Discord in about 30 minutes to review those. So make sure to submit. Billy will have a chance to review and give some feedback on that. So fun.
Okay.
That's so cute.
Okay, sorry, I was like trying. I'm like trying to see these like little things down here, like who's who. So I'm gonna make the sled a little bit smaller than it already is. I remember I did that last night.
So do you like select all of them and just like?
Yeah, so that's kind of like the other thing too. I like to bring I like to bring more to the table than I think I'll need. Like with tomatoes, I love to have like, 40 options because I want to be able to resize everything and make sure everything is the same size. Like I don't want to have a weird looking tomato that I just don't notice while I'm editing,
Yeah.
So what I do is I bring them all in, I select them all, and then I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. And this will actually too match up a little bit more with the size of the mug.
Yes.
Just like that. And then we'll line up the mug again. Perfect.
Cute. And we wait.
And yeah.
Yes, it's very magical. Yeah, it's crazy. And you said it was 29 frames.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And one hide, so I think that takes it away. And then there was one that I think they were a little close. They were almost like the same sort of position just because of how I was shooting them. So yeah, It's a little tedious.
Yeah.
But we'll take these away.
But
You'll
it looks
see.
so good at the end. So
Right,
it's
it's worth it.
it.
Yeah. You have to keep telling yourself that when
Yeah.
you're doing it, or you'll go crazy. Okay, so that's kind of the size we're going for here. I will take this one and we'll actually, so this is kind of where you'll get to see like, oh, this needs to go up or down.
Okay.
Sort of, I think this one we can probably bring it up a little bit because I do want something to play with the mug in terms of shadow in the
Yes.
front. So here it's like, okay, cool, like the shadow's going underneath the mug. This guy, we need his head's missing, so we'll just bring him up to the top. Just like that.
It's so cute. Oh my gosh.
And then we do it over and over again. I think we can move over though into exporting into a GIF, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have about 30 minutes. So I
Okay.
think, yeah, if you wanted to show a little bit more.
Yeah, the GIF situation with this one is a little bit more time consuming too
okay.
because we have to sort of relayer everything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'll show you guys how I did
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because
Show
it'll take me
us.
longer than 30 minutes to mask out the rest of these slides.
Yeah, I know. That always takes forever.
But the good thing is that I did it. So basically we go through, we
Every single little-
mask out every single one exactly like that. They get way easier though after about like the third or the fourth one, I think. The plate and the shadow really aren't obstructing anything. So it's literally almost all of them just like one click with the select tool and then bloop, goes away.
Awesome.
So that's basically what we do. The last thing I'm gonna do on here usually is crop out because that's what we need. So I chose a square. I just literally, I'm gonna crop
And just adjust.
and just like tweak it up so that the cup is sort of the center. And that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But that will be like, I'm doing it now to show, but that would be something you'd wait till the very end, just to make sure you would take and you would make sure like, okay, is this one on the very far right gonna still fit in the frame? Is this one on the very far left still in the frame? Because like, if you crop it now, then you're kind of,
Yeah.
you do all that work. So crop last, just like you sort of want to resize last.
Yeah,
all
because
that
once you do
stuff.
that and you start working on it, like you can't go back.
Yeah, there's no turning back.
There's no turning back.
So I do all that. The adjustment layers that I do, it's sort of the same thing as Lightroom, where I actually bring up an old file and I copy and paste the layers onto whatever I'm working on. And then I kind of go from there because it is something where I always have to do, little adjustments from photo to photo. So I have this Crocs watermelon one. This is the same.
Oh my gosh, I love.
So this is the same thing that we're doing now, basically. So we have a giant croc. We took one photo of the croc, and then I took about 3 watermelons and just cut them up in all these different like shapes and sizes, and
Oh my God.
did all
that's
these
so
things.
beautiful.
They had like a campaign where the prompt was sort of like to use like a perspective to make the shoe look larger than life. And they were asking for forced perspective originally, but that would involve usually like a person. I don't do people, photographing them. So I went the food route and I did this.
That's
And it's
awesome.
the same thing. And this is usually when I pull from. So I'm gonna grab curves, exposure, and curves. I have 2 sort of that I play with on the curves, and that just boosts my contrast really. And sometimes I have 2 contrast things because it works. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's you sort of build on top of each other instead of just using one.
Yeah.
So that one is, we'll go back to this. And then I will just take these, and it's great to just click, control click, duplicate layers, and then we're just gonna pull them down onto Untitled 1, which is this.
Oh, okay.
So it like boosts a little bit. This is a little too extreme, I will say that. So like this is without. That's
Oh
from
my gosh,
Lightroom,
yeah.
which looks good. I just find that when you bring stuff, and this is mainly because we're pulling this for Instagram, stuff on the phone, stuff on these newer Retina screens, it just always looks a little muted. So you almost have to oversaturate and over contrast just a little bit.
Just to make it pop.
Yeah, just to make it look really good on the phone. And
Yeah.
and honestly, like the content we're creating is like, 90% of it's going to be seen on a phone, you know? So that's
such a
kind
good
of
point.
your target, like what you want to look good. So we're going to put this back on. Exposure, I think exposure can definitely come down. This is all opacity, so
You can just like bring it down.
go ahead and just like, we'll bring this down to like maybe 50. We'll just see what these curves are doing. I think we can just lose that curve. And this
Yeah,
way,
that
I think
looks
we can
really
bring it
good.
down just a little bit. But it's something where I don't think there is curves in Lightroom, but I think the curves in Photoshop it's a little bit more, there's more finesse to it, I think. So I like sort of.
Like using it.
Yeah. And just kind of reapplying a filter basically to it.
Yeah.
And then there you have it.
That's beautiful.
So that would be basically what you would do. You would go from here, you'd do the rest of the little sleds or whatever you're wanting to animate. And then you would,
Oh no.
we don't
We'll
have to be
just
on the
exit.
internet.
Yeah. You're good.
I'm not doing anything now. Internet. So then we have this. This is my master. So this is what I created last night. This is what you guys saw earlier. The reason it's a little tricky, so I will go through and like,
Oh my gosh.
it's a small army. It'll literally form a ring around the cocoa and the trees. But you can see as I'm selecting them that they're not all in order, right? Like I'm skipping
Yes.
over stuff. I have these in here still. We can get rid of these. Because it's just like, you realize like, oh, some of them have to go behind a tree. Some of them have to
Yes.
go behind cocoa. So it's like this
It's
whole
crazy.
thing. Yeah, at first I was like, oh, this is great. I'll mask them, I'll do it. And then I'm like, oh no, these have to, some of them you have to Photoshop.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically what's going on here. I'll take all these off again. And I'll show you a couple of them too. A lot of it's just sort of manipulation to sort of play with like shadow, right? So like you want it to look like it's there. So
Yeah.
the same thing where we're taking shadow and we're putting it under the mug, or we're taking the tree and overlapping it. We sort of want to do that almost wherever we can because it just looks like we're on the same plane. And an example that we have is, where the trees, chopping down the trees. There we go.
Yeah, there's always some tricky things that you end up realizing after when you're putting all this together.
Like you think you're almost done.
You're like, oh,
And then goes,
yeah,
nope.
nope.
So there was one that's like over in this area. It's up here. But it's like, so this one we have, it goes over this right here. But the great thing is we masked it out already. So once you mask everything out, you put it all together. Really the only trick is like, okay, great. We have to go through and like figure out where to place them in terms of order.
Yeah.
So this was the first one. This is one that we did in the last one, right? This is where we're gonna start out. And then it gets pretty self-explanatory. So there was, this one did kind of go out of frame and with the shadow as we were going over this way. And the cool thing is that you kind of just like go, like right here, you can see it's a little wonky, but you know what? She's speeding through. You cannot really see it when she's in motion. But it was like completely flat. So I just took the eraser and I kind of just went, you know, like smooth it out, round it out. It's a shadow. Nobody's gonna question you, okay? And then you kind of just go through the whole thing and then you kind of realize like, okay, this one is important for this space. I'm going backwards. Same thing here. This is where you kind of have to play with layers. So you can see over here. This one, the shadow kind of creeps in a little bit. This one right here. So the shadow, there was no way to be in front of the tree and have a shadow there. So the shadow actually that was on here disappears. But it's actually really cool. You can just take like the eraser tool and just kind of make sure it's not a super hard edge. You want to drop down the hardness a little bit and then just like brush out that. And so it kind of just seamlessly, it kind of goes. But that's it in terms of like ordering stuff. So you just want to make sure everyone's in place.
And everyone's good.
Yeah. And then you have to go through and go, okay, here's the first one. This is the order. So
you export each
image. You have to export each individual one, which is like a little tricky and another time-consuming thing. But once you go, it's actually super easy. So I would just have this one up. This one actually is giving me trouble again. So last night what happened is I made the GIF and I exported it. I thought it looked great. And I watched it on my phone and I realized there's this guy right here who's hiding behind the mug. And you can't tell because it just looks like a little white spot.
Like
and it only existed in like the last half. And I'm like, what is that? And then I'm like, oh, that's like sled rider number 14 that we need to not include.
Not include, yeah.
So we did take that out. It almost got me again. And basically this is frame 1. So you go to File, Export, Save for Web. 2000 is the size I have on this. It is smaller. I do the whole, like I crop it and then I usually resize. For GIFs, you don't want to make them too big. They do have to be MP4s when you put them on Instagram. So the larger the file, I think you tend to have some issues with uploads.
Got it.
So I do 2000, that's pretty good. 1500 is even okay for sizes.
Yeah.
And then we'll just do save.
As a PNG?
As a PNG or a JPEG, either one of those is fine.
Or?
I like PNGs. I think PNGs work a little bit better across.
Like all web and screen.
Yeah. And sometimes I think people have issues with PNGs. I know that like WordPress, like I can't export PNG to upload to WordPress. Like they only accept JPEGs. And I don't really know. They just decided one day they weren't going to take PNGs anymore. So you exported each one and it's on Hot Chocolate GIF. So I just use HCGIF as the shortened version for each file. And then I go HCGIF 1 and then 2, 3, all the way up to like 26, 27, whatever it is. And that's how you get all those files.
Got it.
So once you have all your files exported like that, they're all the same size. You made sure that you have all of them in there. We're gonna go to scripts and then load files into stack again. And this is how we're gonna create the GIF. So we have back down here, Hot Chocolate GIF, and it's HCGIF. And we're just gonna go all the way down.
And get all of those links.
Minus whatever this is. This is the...
So Janie has a question.
Yes.
They're asking, why don't you save as a GIF, like a .gif?
So the GIF is going to be the final file of all of the layers made into it. And I'll show you how to export as a GIF and as a video file. So a GIF is usually comprised of a bunch of either JPEGs or PNGs. Any sort of still image.
Yeah. Amanda, not sure if he's taking questions, but is that certain versions of WordPress? Our company has a site we help manage on WordPress, and the PNG logo on that works fine. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a hit and miss thing. Like sometimes it will work and sometimes it won't. And it's not necessarily like logos or things we upload that way. It's like stuff within the posts. They change the way that their posts, you write the post. It's like a new template thing, and I think there's like some sort of clash with that.
Interesting.
So I'm gonna select all that.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions for Billy,
send them my way.
You know, feel free to put them in the chat, and he'll answer them.
Okay, so that is everyone. The other thing too, when I edited all of the sleds, I noticed like 2 of them we didn't need. And I took them out as I was exporting them because I was like going frame by frame and I'm like, we don't really need that. And like just to make my job easier, I just corresponded the export number with the number on the layer. So it would say like hot chocolate, you know, blah, 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 1. 2, 3, and then if I got and like 15 was missing from here, I would just skip 15 on the export and then just do 16. I don't know if that makes sense now that I'm saying it out loud, but it makes it easier here because then I can put them all in order and I'm not like, wait, why did I accidentally do it out of order or something?
Yeah.
So load files in a stack, you browse, do all that, and it's gonna load everyone into a stack.
Oh, there we go.
And this is just going backwards.
Going backwards.
And this is the exciting part where all that work we put in.
Yes.
At this point in time, it was probably like 2.5 hours. All comes magically back together for us.
Yes. That's so fun. So how many are, personal projects versus client projects do you work on or like?
It usually it's like what's paying the bills.
Yes.
So sometimes there are personal projects that do pay bills, which is great. And then sometimes it's like only client work. And that's great too, because I try to find clients that I work really well with together that I get to have fun with that kind of give me some creative freedom. So it sort of feels like personal work, with some regulations.
Yes.
But yeah, it's sort of just like a hit and miss thing for me. So, sometimes it'll be the client work and sometimes it'll be personal work.
Yeah.
I think client work is pretty much wrapped up for this year. So this is actually
just like a fun.
It's like a fun thing. It's something I've wanted to do, and then I had the reason here, so I was like, okay, cool. Like we're gonna execute this. This is great. So everyone's loaded. They do usually when you load when you do it with a script, it usually comes in a little out of order. So we're just gonna go through and we're just gonna fix that. It's kind of the real great reason why everything is numbered, because you will come back and the file name comes in as the layer, so it will help you with like what's
what needs to go in order.
Yeah. So it usually does this weird thing where it puts the 2 right before the 20 and the 3 right before the 30.
Yes, I've seen that actually.
Yeah, so you eventually learn and then go, oh, okay, great. Like this is just, it took me forever to figure out what the method was, like when I first started creating animations. And so it took me so long. And then finally I was like, oh, this is so easy. Like now I can just go click, 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 we're all done.
Voodoo was asking, what music do you listen to when you design, or do you listen to anything when you're creating?
I literally right now it's Christmas music. Did I listen to Christmas music last time when I made this? Yes, I did. It's all over the place. No, that song is great when I'm in the mood, but usually when I need to work, that's not.
You're like,
it's not good work music, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Ariana Grande's Christmas and Chill is really good. There's there's only 5 songs on it, but it's it actually is a real ace Christmas album because it's not classic Christmas. So if you want to listen to something that's really good, chill, Christmas music while you're doing something this long, you just listen to the album 4 times and you're good. Or you could also do, we had the Spotify end of the year thing, everyone's posting it, and I posted mine as a joke, about I'm gay, because it's literally it's Little Mix, Ariana Grande, Carly Rae Jepsen, who are your top, and it's that's what I listen to because that's
that's just
good,
it's good music. We love.
And
Ariana
sometimes you
Grande.
have to just power through because you're not always photographing or editing. I'm not sometimes I have to build sets or
that's true. Yeah.
Make food or roll out cookies or something. I have cookies for tomorrow, making a pattern thing, and you kind of have to just listen to good Christmas music while you do that,
Yeah. That's awesome. Love that. All right, we're just under 10 minutes, and we're gonna head over to Discord to review your challenges. So make sure to submit. This is so fun. I love it. Do you listen to any podcasts ever?
Yeah. Okay. So I watch a lot of Real Housewives. Okay. So if there's any Real Housewives fans out there, there's one podcast I listen to called Bitch Sesh.
Oh my gosh.
Casey Rose Wilson
Amazing.
and Danielle Schneider. It's really good. If you watch Housewives, you've probably listened to the podcast. I think so many people listen to it. Besides that, there's Office Ladies just came out a month or 2 ago, and it's did you watch The Office?
I don't, but I have seen some episodes, so I know.
Get into it.
I know.
Actually, it's perfect for you to start listening to and watching because basically they like sit down and they go over like every episode.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like really great because they tell you all the behind the scenes things, like things that went wrong on set.
Yeah.
And like, I watched every episode like so many times.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I know, I need to get into it.
This was like pre-streaming services. So like in college, I had like the box DVD sets of The Office, you know, because it's
so
like,
cute.
what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't stream things back then.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we had those, and that's a really good podcast too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
So this is
Now ordering it
all in
together.
order. So then what we're gonna do is this timeline window is almost always up for me. It's this one right here on the bottom, but if you don't have it,
to work.
I do it all the time, yeah. So I it's window and then it's timeline is the thing if you don't have it. Because sometimes it does pop, it does go away like when you like
or doing something different or
you like what is it called? Not refresh Photoshop, but like when you like update.
when you update.
When you update Photoshop and it's like sometimes it kind of reverts back to certain things because it's like there's no way to really keep that. So it's just window and timeline, and this is kind of where you would make either videos or GIFs. I've played around with the video in Photoshop, and it's actually really good.
Is it?
And it's very sort of user intuitive if you're
awesome.
used to Photoshop.
Yeah.
That's kind of the cool thing I like about it. I don't think you can do like as obviously is not as much as you do in Premiere, but if you need like a really quick like sort of thrown
like
together
little...
video, like I like the fact that it's sort of intuitive. Like I
Yeah.
could do it and I didn't struggle too much.
Yeah, you kind of picked it up pretty quick.
Yeah. So we're
cool.
gonna do just click create frame animation,
Okay.
and it'll pop up. You can't really see it here. Can I?
Yeah, I think
should
maybe
I-
if you just like
can I-
drag your Photoshop up.
Okay. There we go. Okay, hang on. Whoops.
Oh yeah, there we go. Woo!
Okay. So you can see it here. It automatically just places one, and I think it's usually the very top layer or
Okay.
whatever layer you're selected. But all you have to do is click the little 3 lines, go down to make frames from layers,
Perfect. Ooh, there
and
you
then
go.
it just all pops up.
Yes.
It does usually upload them the opposite way.
Okay.
Opposite way from what I order. So like 1 is at the top for me and it goes down. The higher number is lower and it uploads the opposite way. And it's really great because you just go select all, go back here, and then just go to reverse frames. And it'll be in the right
that's smart.
order.
I didn't even, yeah.
I used to try to drag and stuff together. I was a mess back then. And then now we can kind of see like, okay, the speed at which we want it to be. There are so many frames here that you can actually go a little bit faster. Usually less frames means you need to go a little slower so that it feels more animated. It's kind of a weird mind game that you have to like really kind of think about. There's so many like with animation, there's so much like logistics as to like, wait, how do you like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, something that I realized too was on Instagram, you have to have at least 4 seconds to upload video too.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. If you have less frames, then you probably want to just duplicate the frames to have the animation.
Yeah,
like,
even if it's like, even if you say like, oh, it's forever or whatever, it's like...
It does, yeah.
No. So you can, and you can literally just go like select all and then just go
like-
here. No, not there, sorry. I do select all and I do the same thing that I do for a layer over here. Like I said, it's very intuitive in terms of the tool. So you would just take all these, drag them down to the little new layer here, right behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
Oh, yeah, there
right
you
there.
go.
Okay.
Nice.
So everything's there. I know that this needs to be 0.1 seconds for the speed, just because I did it last night. But you can play around with it. You can see, you could do everything. Ooh, we switched. I like that.
I know.
Okay. Trim it off a little bit. And then you kind of go
oh my
here.
gosh, that's so cute.
And
That's amazing.
I didn't do this on purpose, but they like, I manually focused on this front sled here. So they actually kind of go out of focus as they go behind the mug, which also sort of adds to the illusion that like, oh, the mug's really big.
Yeah.
And, like, they're going around.
Yeah, I love it. Voodoo Val says, I love making GIFs this way.
Yeah,
Me
it's
too.
so
the
nice.
best.
It's so much fun, and it's
It
very
is so
rewarding when like it looks really good.
And it all comes together, and
Yeah.
it just looks so good.
Yeah. So then we're gonna do the export. So this is for the person who was talking about exporting as a PNG versus a GIF. So now we get to export as a GIF. So we just do save for web.
Nice.
And the file this big will take like a minute or so to like, pull up.
Oh, there you go.
Preset, I always do GIF 128 dithered. And then I always take and it automatically comes up as 128 in the options. That's the highest it can go. But right here, almost always, I always choose 256. So you can see how it's a little grainy. The shadows are a little weird right here. There is a lot of color in this. If it was just the mug with the trees in the background, I don't think it would be as big of a deal, but like the color, the hats, everything's all different.
Just, yeah.
So we're gonna go 256.
Oh yeah, that
and that'll
already brings
help
up all
a
the
lot
colors.
more. We are also zoomed in, so it does look a little grainy here. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna save
It's a
it.
GIF.
Make sure it says looping questions forever in this section right here. And then we'll just put it right here and we'll just do like hot chocolate GIF.
The naming
GIF.gif.
situation.
My names are so things only I would understand, which is cool because it's my computer.
Yes.
It's always weird when you're doing client work and you're like, you know, like wine clear 0, 1, 2, like. Okay, so that was a GIF.
That was a GIF.
If you want to put it on a website or a portfolio site, anywhere that allows animation, export as a GIF. For Instagram, export, render video, and then I don't mess with anything here. I just make sure that it's high quality. This is all the presets here, and it works just fine for what we need it for because it's not. We're not making like a motion picture. It's,
Yeah.
you know, 30 seconds.
Richard's asking, what's the difference between save as and export?
So save as is just saving the file, right?
Yeah, I guess like the difference between
I'm saying as a
it-
JPEG.
What's
So
the difference between save as
I
and
think the
export?
export is you're saving it for web. So you're because it used to be called whatever it's not called now, which I know. Hang on a second, I will find that. It used to be called something else.
Yeah.
It used to be called export for web, I think. And then now it's called save for web.
Okay.
It updated with a new version.
Yeah, with a new new language.
Yeah. So the saving, you're saving just that file. It's still going to compress it and everything else. I almost always export for web just because it does sort of condense it, I think, a little bit more and makes it easier to read.
Online.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, see, I already had that one.
Final.
Yep.
Oh my God, I love it.
I have final, and then there'll be another one that's final folder.
Yeah. Janie says, do you ever have issues with banding? I seem to get that sometimes when exporting as a GIF and not sure how to fix it.
In terms of like banding and like lines on either side of the frame.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Janie, could you explain that a little bit better? Your question. And then, yeah, we're going to hop over to Discord now, though. But
Put the questions up
put the
and we'll
question
answer
up
when we
and
get
we'll answer
back.
them when we get back.
Yeah.
All right. So let me head over to Discord. All right. So hopefully you guys submitted your challenges because we're going to take a look at them right now. So you can like look over at mine. So let me just refresh. Okay. So today's challenge was to add dimension to any photograph. Yeah, creating a reflective backdrop using clipped adjustment layers and masks. So let's see. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So we'll just work our way backwards. So this is Cece. Challenge 5. Oh, this is adorable. Corgis, right? Or
Yeah, those are little corgis.
Oh, that's
makers.
so cute. I love
Yeah.
it. Love the color. Yeah, the fun little reflection here of the corgis. I wonder if maybe it would just like move up like just a tiny bit, just to make it even more
So they, like,
reflected
meet?
under. Yeah, so that it meets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's so cute. I love it. That's a great job though.
Yeah.
And I like that the opacity is like down, so it kind of feels like more of a reflection.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Thanks, Cece. All right, and then
A lot of dog content today. I'm into this.
I know,
I'm
yeah.
very much into this. This is what I'm here for, okay?
Ray 1111. I'm getting caught up. Pretty proud of these whiskers. Those whiskers. Let's see. Oh. This gives me joy. I love
It
it.
does.
I love
love
the
it.
color. It just looks like he's popping out. Great. I don't know if I see any reflection, but that's okay. But there's definitely dimension as far as this like text right here. I guess if he's really coming out, it's like,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, we get like motion.
Yeah. That's so fun. I love that it's
Yeah.
all like kind of holiday themed too.
Yeah.
So fun. Okay. Thank you, Ray. And then we've got Camilo. And got like some little reflection here. That's so cute. Kind of looks like he's on maybe like
Ice or
ice
something?
or something.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, good job. Very simple. I like that it's kind of like monochrome too. I love that color. Super fun. All right. Thank you, Camille. All right. And we've got Jared. Lots of animals.
Lots of animals.
Yeah.
Today. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
here
it all. Nice little reflection here. And we've got a little gradient in the back. Cute. Yeah, definitely a good reflection. I wonder, if maybe moving it up a little bit just to make it meet a little bit better. It looks a little bit disconnected, but I think just moving it up, maybe even transforming it and like.
Yeah, sort of like elongating a leg or something. Because I
Yeah.
think it's just like, it's a legit like copy reflect. And because like the one leg is a little different than it's.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe just like bringing this up to meet it a little bit would help. But otherwise, good job.
Yeah.
All right. And then, let's see. I think, is that all we've got, I think? This might be from a different challenge, but let me just do a really quick refresh. Because you always never know. Someone might be submitting last minute, so. Okay. Yeah, I guess that looks like it's it. Well, thanks to everybody who submitted.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get back to what you were working on. So.
Okay. So the question about the GIF, she had
Oh, yes.
followed up and said that there were lines in the image and it wasn't like smooth color. And I think that's probably just the amount of colors that you have. So if you keep it at the 128, that's like the default that you select, that's how you're gonna have, I think like you're talking about like the chunky sort of gradients and like
Oh,
a
yeah,
shadow. Because it doesn't look like it, like this shadow right here probably has like 4 or 5 different colors in it. And so 128 just kind of means that Photoshop will take that and go, oh no, that's just one color, or that's just 2 colors. And then what'll happen is it'll just be like a real sort of clunky piece together thing. So yeah, I would try doing the 256 for the colors, as high as you can go, really. And the file will be bigger, but it'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was all of the stuff for exporting. So we have both the GIF and the MP4. And they're just for, like I said, different things. So the GIF's gonna be portfolio sites, blogs, things like that. And then MP4 is great for social media, for Instagram. The cool thing about the,
specifically.
like with like an MP4, you would normally do it and it just plays once. Even if it says forever down here, it's never going to actually repeat forever on its own. But when you put it on Instagram, it does automatically.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
But it does need to be like the 4 seconds or something.
Yeah,
right?
there is a minimum, and I feel like they keep changing it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it does keep getting shorter and shorter, because at one point in time, it was like it had to be
Like
10 seconds.
Oh, wow. Seriously?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
And I think now it's like 5.
Oh, yeah. Much
Maybe
better.
even less. Yeah, because it's just like, it's actually a smaller file size, so it'd be smarter for them to allow a smaller one.
To allow
so,
smaller. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Bojana says, I like the image with Christmas trees and hot chocolate.
Thank you.
So cute. Very appetizing.
Thank you. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, if you guys have any other questions regarding GIFs or Billy's process, where do you, how do you end up like coming up with like concepts for, or like your props and like the layout and all that kind of stuff? Like, do you have the concept first and then you go out and set and do all that stuff, or?
Yeah, so like I will, a lot of times like I'll have like an idea in my head, and then it's like, can this actually be executed? Can this idea actually work? And sometimes it'll be like, oh no, like I have to source stuff online and like, shop on eBay or,
Yeah.
Do weird things. So it usually sits in the back burner. A lot of those sort of jobs are like personal projects, so there's not like a hurry to order special things and whatever.
Yeah.
Someone asked if a frame can be shorter than 0.1 second, and it can. I think it can go way lower. You just have to click here.
I'll get
right
rid
here.
of it.
Right here.
Nice.
No. Okay, right. We're gonna stay in the middle. You just go to other,
Oh, okay.
and then you can just use the up and down. So 0.01 is probably the fastest. So 1/10 of a tenth.
Something I'm not good with math, so don't.
I'm gonna say it's
I'm
a
not
tenth
good.
of a tenth. Okay, so 100th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100th of a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can go that low. They do have the preset times in here, and it usually just jumps pretty like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. And I almost always have to do a custom in between. So it's like when I'm doing an animation, it's like Goldilocks, where it's like this one's too fast, this one's too slow.
Yeah.
So I sort of have to go and do a custom sort of thing. Sometimes when you're doing animations too, it kind of goes like in this thing where you sometimes have to play with the time. You can't a lot of times use like a one time for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like, if I'm doing something with like a hand coming in and pouring like a beer or something, I can't, like it's not gonna be like 0.1 for the whole entire thing. It's gonna be like 0.1 with the hand coming in, and then like as the beer's pouring, it needs to maybe slow down a little bit. And so, yeah, there's like ones where
There's
I have like
flexibility as far as like, it's good that
Yeah.
each one has its own thing.
Because I've done it before where it's like 80 frames in like a thing, and you're just like, you just have to do it differently.
How did you kind of develop your style? Because you have a really fun, like colorful, like, a lot of these like have different interesting color combinations.
Yeah, I think it's like,
And we'll head over to my screen just to kind of take a look at a little bit more of his work.
yeah, it kind of is like something where it's just like, I went to school for photography, so I had to take like art classes about colors and like focusing on those things. So a lot of it is built around colors, where like I will like I'll see something and be like, ooh, that would like look really good. I'm like, this was one of them. And it's like sometimes a very specific color where like I made this, it's like a blood orange sherbet, and it's like I was making it and I was like, ooh, I want that on like a mustard yellow, and it's like a specific shade of yellow where it's like,
So you have these kind of colors, kind of almost like you're like, ooh, I know this is gonna look good with with this
or like
kind of color.
there was one on there that's like a s'mores trifle. It's that one right there. This one right here in the center.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
so pretty.
And I like in my head, it's like the most specific. Like I wanted this like Barbie, like mid 90s Barbie lipstick is what I was going for the color, because it's like that like purplish pink, like a little muted sort of like, oh, it's like a very specific like reference, but like that's what I had in my head. So I like went to, this is like back when I also like was buying my paint from Michael's, and so I'd go to Michael's and like look through all the acrylic paints and like the little tiny things and like try to match.
Oh my gosh.
And now it's great because like there's so many options for programs with real paint. So I can actually go and like drop a Pantone color in and get it matched.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
that's what I do now. But I still have specific references for that. And also there's certain ones where it's like, oh, if I don't know if I'm gonna use that again. So I don't usually paint it because the process of painting a board or whatever else. Yeah, it like, some stuff is very specific, and then some stuff's sort of organic, like as I'm doing the shoot, like this is kind of what happened, you know, like.
Yeah, I love all the colors. Someone has said, yeah, timing each frame is really tedious and hard for me.
Yeah.
Thanks for the advice. I just need to practice more.
Yeah, it honestly does. Like you get so much faster at building GIFs. Like it's wild how much faster you get at it.
Yeah.
Just practice, 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 and like I guess also you can't really see like their speed, but like look on Instagram and social media for accounts who make like specific like stop motion videos.
Yeah.
And kind of like see what they're doing and see like, oh, okay, like so this they have like, you can sort of tell they have a lot of frames or they don't have a lot of frames, but it's still successful. Like why is it still successful?
Yeah.
So like with animation though and short form like GIFs like this, like I love doing it because it's fun, it's different.
Yeah.
And it's not something that everybody does because it is a little tedious a lot of times.
There's this one GIF that I was like, oh, I was
Oh,
obsessed.
this one.
This is so cute.
So this was like for Nespresso, and they specifically wanted a shot of like the ice or the coffee being pulled, the shot being pulled over the ice. And the backdrop is actually like wavy. That texture is actually digital.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. It looks so perfect,
Right.
and I was like, that has to be like on Photoshop.
Well, originally I was like, I'm gonna do GIFs for Nespresso. I'm like, we're gonna do this. And so I started actually painting the pattern on a board, and then I was like, nope, not doing that. But it meant that I couldn't use hands or something, because if a hand's coming in, you would have to go through every single frame. This one was actually great because I could apply the pattern, because the only thing that's really moving is in front.
Yes.
Where the coffee's coming out. So I could just apply the pattern to the whole background, and it actually ended up working out great, which I was very excited about.
Voodoo Val says, I like that one too. I saw it and thought, how do I achieve ice cube mastery like this?
That's actually a silicone ice cube tray that they
Really?
sent me that I had to use their ice cubes.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was a very specific, but it's not like, I think they just branded like a regular thing, because I've seen them before, but it's like the silicone rectangles with like the perfect cubes.
Yes.
And you just ice cube tray.
Yeah, love it. You've done a few where like there's also like hands in them too. I'm trying to see if or there was even like the Halloween one. This one I love. Is that just like that spider web like material or something?
Yeah.
Oh,
So like a lot of times with like holiday stuff, I like to be like super cheesy and kind of use the stuff that like, I don't know. This was like, I sort of did like a high-low thing. I had this job for Master of Mixes, and then I had another job that was for Perrier, and for Perrier I knew specifically, I was like, I want to do this like dark, moody sort of like, more of like a chic version of what Halloween could be without using anything over the top. But this one, they have like the bright colors in the mixes, and I was like, ooh, I really want to like play with that and just like be like a little cheesy. So I bought this like pumpkin shaped, punch bowl, and I use like gel filters on the lights, and then the background is like that like cheesecloth material that you sort of just like pull to like create it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that one was like that was like another tedious sort of GIF to do as well. I think we're gonna have time to actually go over this one tomorrow.
Ooh,
so I think
fun.
we'll do this one, and I didn't use green screen for the arm. I used, Amanda asked did I use green screen for the arm. I did not. I actually photoshopped the arm out.
Oh my gosh.
It's like kind of weird, and I was like, and it was completely unplanned. It was going to originally be just a shot of like, the GIF was gonna be just the stirring, and then something, I was like shooting it, and then something clicked, and I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool if it was like just like the hand, like Addams Family or something, you know? So I was like, my partner Esteban he's always my hand model because his hands are a lot prettier than mine. So I was like, okay, I have this like idea, and it was the same thing with this GIF where I was like traveling, so I was like, we're gonna shoot it, and then I have to go to work.
Yeah.
So hopefully it works. And like, luckily it totally did. But yeah, we'll do this one tomorrow. We have this, and then I was gonna do like another pattern sort of thing with some sugar cookies. Another holiday themed one. But this one was like a lot of fun because it's like, yeah, you have a master sort of thing you're working with, and then it's a lot of fun.
I love the colors.
Yeah.
It's just, and so like for your like client work and stuff, like how much creative freedom do you have as far as what you're doing?
It depends. The stuff like with the master of mixes, like they were really a great client to have because they were just like, do whatever you want to do. Like we like your feed, we like what you shoot already. Like that's always really fun. And then sometimes like there's not like parameters, but the great thing, like I liked also working with Perry because they had the stuff where they were like, oh, we want a Halloween drink or whatever, but we don't want it to be like too contrived. And I'm like, I'll do it. Like, we're gonna do it. So yeah, it like just depends. Sometimes it's a lot of freedom, and sometimes it's like very strict, and it's like, nope, we want the box to look like this, and on and that's, but you know, I like both.
Yeah. What are your kind of tips for somebody wanting to get started in like food photography or even like creating GIFs?
I would say just start creating.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know it's super cheesy, and I think everybody says it, is like, just go do it. But it's like, the cool thing about making the GIFs is that it doesn't take any money. Like, I've seen some really cool animations online, and it's like, you look at it and you're like, oh, they use like, you know, a thing of Play-Doh and like a strawberry or something, you know? And you're like, that costs nothing, just your time, which is valuable, but like, it's something where, you know, I think you just have to go out and do it and just like learn from like what you're doing and like kind of just have fun with it. Yeah.
I also love this one too. Ugh, so pretty.
Yeah, that was like a really fun one too. It was one where I was like, oh, I want to do a GIF of stirring, but it's tricky when you're doing it. So like with this one and like with the punch, if you're ever shooting a GIF of someone stirring something, usually I'm just like, okay, like move your hands slowly, and I'm just gonna keep, you know, we're just gonna, pressing. You know, let it go. With stirring, it's a little hard though because the shutter's not really fast enough to catch.
Right.
So you almost just keep getting the same frame over and over again. So when you do a GIF of someone stirring, you almost have to be like, they almost have to be like drawing like a star in what they're doing. Does that make sense? And then it's like frame 1, boom. Frame 2, boom. Frame 3, 4, 5. But then you put it together, and I'll show you tomorrow when we do the Halloween one. Like you'll see it's like very like blocky, but when you animate it, it kind of looks
seamless.
Smooth.
Yeah.
But it's like really fun. I like doing that kind of stuff.
Abdullah's asking, how do you calibrate your screen colors? You know, like, do you pick the right colors for all screens?
I actually have never calibrated the screen colors. What I normally do, instead of like specific calibrations, is I usually just like, whatever screen I'm using, I'm going to edit. I'm going to convert the color profile on Photoshop to match whatever my screen is. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. And that usually does the trick really well. The only time that I think you really have to watch out with like color calibration on your screen is when you're doing print.
Yes.
Because it has to be very specific to the paper, to the ink, to everything else. And I remember in school that was like my biggest pet peeve is you'd work really hard on an image and you'd print it and you go, that's not what I did. Yeah. So
printing is always the challenge.
It's like an art form within
That's
itself.
why I love social media. It's like, it's so easy.
It's so instant and it's so gratifying.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so what, like, as far as like Instagram, like what's been like your, I guess, process? Like, do you post often? Or like how?
Oh no.
You're like.
No. I post when I can.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff, it'll be like personal work. Like this stuff,
Yeah.
I posted this stuff this morning and that was like really fun. I'm trying to get better at it, but it's just tricky,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is like something where it is very specific, and it's like not one of those things where it's like, well, if I'm not getting paid, I don't want to post it, but
Yeah.
because like that's like not a great attitude to have. But sometimes that's just how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, Amanda says every individual printer is so finicky too.
Yes. Oh my God, color profiles for like printers alone are like
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, super fun. Yeah, and I love all your like pattern stuff too. Like,
yeah, that's all with Illustrator. So I like
fun.
go through because I remember that is something where
So
I will
good.
in my mind I'm like, oh, I want to have like this stuff shot on like a plaid with like yellow and green, and it's like that's like it's like so specific in my mind, and I know I can create that in Illustrator.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, so I have to shoot on yellow, go into Illustrator, create like a green plaid, like do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
When I can use a fabric though that's really cool, I love doing that. But yeah, it's like this kind of stuff where it helps just like, I don't want to say elevate, but like bring up the dish a little bit. So it's not sticking out as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of helps sort of create a whole environment. Talking about Real Housewives, right there.
Yeah, I love these little like elements. I think they just like make it fun and make it pop.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's turkey on a plate, like like it's really I think it helps a lot with food because it just makes it more fun. There's certain things where you're just like everybody's seeing like a chocolate chip cookie, like how many more? I could put a regular chocolate chip cookie and it would do great on my feed because people love them. But I kind of want to just like
what is a way that I can make it
it's
more
like
unique?
Yeah,
or
walking up and down Michael's, be like, oh, let's get the cellophane, let's get this, like let's go to Joann's and like find like clearance fabric that like nobody else wants, so we're gonna get it for super cheap and figure out how we can use it for something. It's like, yeah.
And I just want to hop over real quick to Billy's blog,
Oh, yeah.
Wit and Vinegar. We didn't get a chance to see it earlier, but there's a cute little portrait of him.
Yeah.
And he actually has a book too, so it's called Whip It Up. So if you want to check that out, go to his website.
Vintage.
But he's got all these amazing recipes with the amazing photography with it. So love it all. And I love this shot.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun doing that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love, is this like yellow velvet?
Yeah, so it's like yellow velvet
Gorgeous.
on like yellow board. But yeah, it's like, it took me forever to figure out like the exact, there was a velvet that I really wanted at like a textile shop and I saw it and I didn't buy it. And then I was beating myself up for it because I was like, ooh, like it was like this like patterned velvet. It was like beautiful. And then I went back and he's like, oh, we're not getting that in for like another 2 weeks. And then I was like,
no.
So then I was like, okay, cool. We're just going to use yellow velvet. And then something happened where I was doing like a test shot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this actually looks really cool to have like this texture from the yellow velvet, like on the yellow board. They just happen to match like the same yellow. And like,
Amazing.
it's like monochromatic, but like playing with textures and surfaces and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Amanda says, the illustrated pattern is a neat idea. It adds a cartoonish element, which makes it a little more playful. Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are at the end of our first one of two live streams. So thank you so much for sticking around and watching Billy,
Thank you guys.
create a GIF and show a little bit of his process. We'll be back for day 2 tomorrow. So tune in at behance.net/Adobe Live. But thank you guys. We will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.